Good morning. We're learning as is chus for Shlema Filan Chai Baserach. We are at the Mishnah on Ayin Tes Amid Beis. Right? Think so.
Yeah.
Zok the Mishnah. Dam tmimim b'dam bali mumin yishafech la'ama. You have a mixture of dam that is kosher dam from a carbon, together with dam of an animal that was a balmum. Then is yishafach lama, you have to pour it out. Kais b'kaisis, if you have a cup of such, and this is really a hamshach of the previous Mishnah. We said it's a gzeira, that we're worried that if you allow them to do them when it's a roiv of the kosher, you'll come to do it also when it's a roiv of the apostle. Kais b'kaisis, where the kosher is bottled. Kais b'kaisis, they have two separate kaisis, or we should say, let's say you have 10 kaisis, and only one of them is the dam apostle. Rabbi Eliezer Aimer, imkarv kais echad yikarvu kol kaisis. Rabbi Eliezer says, like we said in the previous Mishnah, he says, once you are makar of one of them, even though you weren't supposed to do so, so now we have a leg to stand on. We could say that the one that was already nikrav was the one that was a balmum, and therefore you could do the rest of them, which we had the same discussion earlier. Legabi the roishim with the heads, I don't remember, or the limbs. So we said we had almost the same discussion. We said if one of them was nikrav, then you could do the rest because it could be saimach. The Chacham say no. Even if you have 10 cups of dam, and one of them is from a balmum, and 9 of them are from kosher karbanis, and the Kayahanim mistakenly brought already 9 of them. There's one left. So first of all, it was only a 1 in 10 to begin with that was a balmum, and you already brought 9 of them. So you have a good reason to believe that this is a kosher one. Even so, the chama is still geyser, and you can't bring it. You have to be shafach la'ama, you have to pour it out into the ditch. Hanitn lamata, shenis arvu benitn lamayla. If you have dam from a carbon that the dam is put on the mizbeach, on the bottom of the mizbeach. For example, an oila or a bachar or meiser, one of these karbanos. And it got mixed in together with yichatas that has to be put on the top of the mizbeach. Rabbi Eliezer says, you go ahead and you do the nesinas dam lamayla. You always do when you have a choice between a chatas and an oila. You do the chatas first. You do the lamayla first. And Rabbi Eliezer, like we've seen this before, he says, like they're eitzim. We said, Lagabi putting the emurim. When you have a mixture, we could look at it. What's unnecessary, there's a different roya. It's not the same roya like we had before, that when you have a partial mixture of something that is not of the same tam, or if it has the same time, so you could look at it if it's something of a different time. This is a different raya. This is a kuladika raya, that when you have a mixture of something that's supposed to be brought and something that's not supposed to be brought, we can disregard. We could say, since his intention is not to bring this second thing, we just look at it. If it's the case of being burnt on mizbech, it's looked at as eitzim. If it's like over here, we're talking about throwing dam, putting dam on the mizbech, we look at the extra dam, the unnecessary dam, as if it's water. Right? It's the dam hatachtonim that you're putting on top. Kilo heimayim. We look at it if it's mine. That's Rabbi Eliezer's shita. And then he'll go ahead and bring lamata. At this point, the pashas of the Mishnah obviously is that he's going to be nice and dam lamata for example, for the oila, and then he'll be yaitza the oila. The Chacham say they don't hold of raya, and therefore you can't bring even the first one. You can't bring the chatas. because you're going to be doing an asinas dam in the wrong place, which you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to do nidlin lamata lamaila, and you can't be over on that in order to bring your carbon chatas. But if the kayan, following the tradition of kahanim and kachim, does not ask a question, he goes ahead, he barges ahead, and is nice in the dam lamaila, b'nasan kosher. If he did so, regardless, the Chacham are just saying you're not allowed to do it because if you do it, you're going to be putting some dam in the wrong place. But once you put the dam, lamaisa, you got the dam that was supposed to be lamaila. You got it lamaila, so you yaitza. Now we switch. Before we were talking about something that was supposed to be brought lamaila and was done lamata. Now we talk about hanitten batana achas shenisavru benitten batana achas. If you mix up one carbon that's supposed to have a single matana with another carbon that's supposed to have a single matana, what are those? Rashi says, dam b'char shenisavru b'dam meiser. If you mixed up b'char, meiser, and pesach all have a single nesina, right? So we've accumulated a little bit of knowledge already at this point. We know the chatas. Little bit, right? We're getting there. We know that the Chatas has 4 actual Nesinas Dam. Right, Lucy, you're remembering this. The Chatas has 4 Nesinas Dam Lamaila, and we know that the Oila and the Shlomim and the Asham all have Shtayim Shehem Arba Lamata, and then you have these karbanos, the Bechar and the Meiser, that they have a single Nesina Lamata. So you have these two. You have your Bechar, the dam of your Bechar mixed with your Bechar of your Meiser. Yinasnu b'matana achas. You do one matana, and we're going to see, at this point we're assuming, like Rashi says, that he's saying you do one matana, and that includes from both of the karbanos, and you yaitza both of them with a single nesina.
So basically, the first case is a bechar and a meiser got mixed up. And
yeah.
Each one of them needs one matana.
All right. We're gonna have a Gemara later on. The Gemara is going to discuss whether there's a minimum amount of dam that you need in a nesina.
I mean,
why wouldn't you do one
matana? Why wouldn't you do one matana? Why wouldn't you think logically, just do one matana, then another matana? Why do?
Because you already yaitza with the first one. Why do you need 2? If they're mixed together and there's no minimum amount that you have to put on, then the nesina, there's gonna be a discussion about yesh bila, about whether this is going to be really what this Gemara is, whether two liquids that mix together are considered to be uniformly mixed, and there's a little bit of it in each one. But at this point, we're just gonna leave this, and the idea is that when you do one matana, you got a little bit from each. We assume yesh bila, and there's a little bit in each one. Let's see, Rashi yenosu matana salta techashta damrin and yesh bila, that the blood is uniformly mixed from the 2 things. Every drop that you take from this mixture of 2 bloods is going to have a little bit of each blood. So you could be saimach that there's a little bit from each one. But if you're talking about with 2 matana kaises, then in you're going to have to do 1 from each, and then you're going to certainly be fine. Matan arba. If you have something that needs 4 matanas, which this is really meaning, Rashi says going down oila b'bchar. Oila means shtayim shehim arba. It doesn't necessarily mean a chatas that needs, because then you have lamayla and lamata. We're talking about all lamata. So we're talking about, let's say, oila shtayim shehim arba. You nasnu matana arba. You do 4 matanas, and one of them will have also the matana achas, and you'll be yaitza both of them, or all 4 of them. Matan arba b'matana achas. I'm sorry, matan arba. You know some matan arba. Matan arba matana achas. If you have 4 that's mixed with 1, so you have the, I'm sorry, I said before the matnarba, so then you do all 4. What happens if you have your oila mixed with your bachar? Rebbe Lazar Aimer, you know, matana arba, but matnarba. Rebbe Lazar says you do all 4, even though l'chayra with the first one, maybe we'll see the Gemara will talk about this. The pashtus, the simple way to look at it is he holds even though you did the first one, you already yaitza your bachar, and then the extra dam in the next 3 is extra. Those are going to be looked at as water, like we said before with the balmum. Bishu Aimer, Yinasnu matana achas. Yeshua says you're only going to do 1 matana. So this is going to be a machlokes. He says you only do 1. Even if you hold shtaim shem arba, you can be yaitza oila with 1. If you only do 1, you get a kapara. And they're going to disagree about what the ideal thing to do is. Amalai Rebbe Eliezer, harayu over al bal tigra. You're saying that he should only do 1 because we don't want to do the extra hazayis and come out that you're doing we're turning some of the dam into water. Now Rebbe Eliezer he's really arguing l'shitase to Rabbi Yeshua because according to him it turns into water. It's not a problem. He's saying even according to you that you say that it doesn't turn into water. But you're diminishing the proper amount of hazai. You're supposed to do shtaim she'em arba. You only did 1. No, you're also doing the wrong thing. You're adding on extra. You're being over on bal taisef by instead of doing just 1 of the dam of the bechar, you're doing 4. You're taking its dam and doing it 4 times. Rebbe Eliezer says no. The din of Bal Taisif, you're saying that I'm doing extra. I'm saying to do 4 times. That's only when there's no reason to do it. I'm doing it for a different reason. If I do it for the Bechara, I do it 4 times, that's Bal Taisif. But I'm not doing the Bal Taisif for the reason of the Bechara. I'm doing it because there's an oila mixed in. Okay? So you're saying that you're reducing the proper amount that's supposed to be for the oila, but you could be yaitza with a single one. So I'm saying this is not an illegal reduction. This is being reduced for a reason. I'm doing it because of the mixed in bechar. Rabbi Yeshua says, and I have an additional reason on my side. Knishata of Rabal Taisif, Vasisa Maisa Biyadcha, and you did it as an actual act. If you're going to do 4, you're going to be doing an assertive act. You're going to be doing a Maisa, and you're being over on Bal Taisif. But if you do like I say, you only do 1. It's better to be passive and only do 1, and not. So you're saying I'm being over on Bal Tigra, but that was just done passively by not doing something. If you're going to if you're stuck, you have to either be over on Bal Taisif, Bal Tigra. Sit on your hands and do the thing that takes the least action. Don't take an actual action that will cause. We have competing concerns. Do the least damage. Don't do anything.
Shev al
taisa, right? Exactly. Shev al taisa. If you have to, either way you're going to be over. Rather be a shev al taisa and be over rather than be an actor and be over. Being someone who does a mice and is over. I'm Rebbe Elazar. Sagt Rebbe Elazar. Lehitz Rebbe Elazar l'shnaim. Aval echad loy. This din that we said in the Mishnah, which is really, we had this discussion before. We said that Rebbe Eliezer there's Rebbe Elazar, the Amayra is saying Rebbe Eliezer was only makel that if the kohen went ahead and you had a mixture of dam pasel with dam kosher, you had nine kosher and 1 pasel, 1 balmum. He said, if you already brought one of them on the mizbech, then you could do the rest of them because you could be told that one was the one that had the psul. He said that's only if you do shnaim. That's only if you do 2 at a time, that you have both things on your side. First of all, that one was already brought incorrectly, so you could be told on that. And now when you're bringing 2, for sure one of them at least is kosher, right? Because you only have one of psul. So it has to be that you bring two at a time. And this we had, again, this is the discussion we had in the earlier Gemara. Even if he brought one of them, even if he brought all 9 of them and there's only one left, the Chacham say you can't use it, you have to pour it out. But Rebbe Eliezer never said if there's one left. He would also agree that it's Yishaf of Amma that's one left, because according to Rebbe Eliezer only says it then when there's 2. When it says there's one left, it means one pair left, like Rebbe Eliezer requires. Okay. Utricha. So, like we said, so this Gemara, this was just a repeat of the Gemara's explanation of the Mishnah that we had before. But again, our Mishnah that's talking about Dam Tmim of Dam Bali Mumin is really the same discussion that we had L'gabe Evarim. If you have Evarim Psulim with Evarim Ksherim, whether you could bring them. And Rebbe Eliezer had the same shita that once one was brought, you could bring the rest of them. And the Chacham say even if all of them, all this is all repeated. So what do you need it again? Utzricha. If we were just said over here by Bali Mumin Baha Kam Rebbe Eliezer. Over here, Rebbe Eliezer says that you can bring it Mishum dis Avid Bei Kaparasai. Because I'm sorry, if you would have said by the Emurim, it's already after. That's not Ma'ak of the Emurim. He already had his kapara. So maybe on that we say it's Avid Bei Kaparasai. So it's not so crucial. So you can bring it, even though there's a chance that you're bringing something that's not supposed to be brought. But it's not going to affect the kapara. Maybe they're moide to the Rabbanon, where when you're talking about Hazoyas, that you can't get your kapara with something that might be the wrong one. Maybe the Rabbanon would be moide to Rebbe Eliezer in the case where it's not so crucial over here, the earlier case of Emurim, that's why you need both of them. Okay, now we get into the meat. Tanan Hasan. If someone has a container that of mechatas is the water of the paraduma, right? After you take a little bit of the ash of the paraduma, you mix it into water, and you use that combined water to be taivo, to spritz on someone. You have to do it twice, once on the 3rd day and once on the 7th day, to be metarim from tumas meis. And you had a little bit of this very super valuable mechatas, and some regular water fell into it. Some water fell into it. The Gemara is going to say studim that this kolshu who is lavdach. Rebbe Eliezer says yaza shtei hazoyis. You're going to have to do a double hazah on the person, not the hazah of shlishi v'shvi, like we said. On the 7th day, he's going to have to get 2 hazahs. And we're going to explain the reason why. How is that second hazah going to help? Chum and Paisel, they say it's not going to help to do 2 hazahs. Since you have regular water mixed in, it's possible. So Bishlam and Rabbanan, so you can understand why the Rabbanan say it's possible. Savri yesh bila. They hold that every drop of water is going to now be a mixture of the kashara mechatas together with the regular water, which is invalid for spritzing. Bazah tzricha shir. And however you do the hazah, you dip the little branch of azav into the water and use that to spritz. That amount of water that you spritz needs to be that amount. You can't be missing any of the water of each spritz. The aim at starfin lahazois. And you can't do 2 hazois, you can't do bimaza twice, and thereby get to your shir. You have to do it all in one hazah. So according to them, right? So yesh bila, so every bit of water is partially kosher water and partially not kosher water, and therefore every hazah is going to be partially made up of non-kosher water, and it's not going to help to do a second hazah, because you can't be mitzdaref the second hazah with the first hazah. So we understand why they disagree with Rabbi Eliezer. They don't allow you to do two hazois to make a good hazah for the mechatas, to be matar. Ella, Rabbi Eliezer, my kasavar. What's the svar of Rabbi Eliezer? Ikasavar aim bila. If he holds that water doesn't get evenly distributed, if we say that the water is distributed, the non-kosher water is distributed randomly amongst the kosher water, so maybe he could be maza a bunch of times. Each time, it might be he's getting the non-kosher water. Elakasavar yeshbila. Elamai holds that the water is distributed evenly. Ikasavar einazah tri chashir. If he holds that there's no minimum amount, lamali shtei hazais, then he should say that even in the first hazah, as soon as you did a hazah, it certainly has some of the mechatas. There's no minimum shear, so he was already yaitzer. Elakasava hazah tri chashir. So it must be holds yeshbila and hazah tri chashir. So now again, what does that help? If you hold that you're not mitzdarf to hazoyis, the two hazoyis are not going to be added together. Each one has some amount of the mechatas, of the non-mechatas, that passels it, so you never got to the amount that you needed to be mitarim. Binami mitzdarfin, and if you say you are mitzdarf the two hazoyis, it's still, we don't know how much of the hazah was, we don't know, maybe it was, we're saying you have to have the proper shir hazah. Maybe, I'm sorry. What was it? Ikasavar ein hazah. Let me start from the beginning. So he has to hold yesh bila. And he holds tri chashir. When he does two hazoyis, what does it help? And if you stay mitzdarfen lahazoyis, how do we know that these two hazoyis have enough in them to equal the amount of a single? It's going to depend on the proportion of kosher to non-kosher. So how do you know that the two hazoyis contain enough? So the Gemara is gonna give examples of how it could work. But there's gonna be three shittas of how ultimately we're gonna understand Rebbe Eliezer. Amar Rish Lakish. So Rish Lakish is the first of the three shittas. La'olam yesh bila. He holds that the water is distributed evenly amongst the mechatas. V'hazah tzri chashir. And hazah is tzri chashir. So he's starting the same as we had gotten to in our analysis. What are we talking about? We're talking about you have one kosher, an equal amount of kosher with an equal amount of non-kosher. So if you do two hazayis, you're going to have all of the mei chatas is going to be in there, enough for hazah. There was enough in the mei chatas for a single hazah. So if you do two, you got enough. You have the full amount of a hazah. Rava, so again, we have to remember, Rish Lakish says yesh bila and hazah tzri chashir, and he's obviously holding also that they're mitzdaref together. Rava Amar la'olam yesh bila, he agrees that yesh bila, that it's uniformly distributed, but he says hazah ain't tzri chashir. Hazah doesn't need a shir. So if that's the case, why would you need two? That was the problem with this proposal. If you need tzri chashir and you have yesh bila, so you definitely have some of the mechatas in every hazah, so you should be good. But Knasa the Rabbanan the Chacham did not want that everyone, if they have a little bit of mechatas, they'll have a thimble of mechatas, they'll dump it into the reservoir, into their water tank, and they'll say, oh, yesh bila, there's no shear, now we have, instead of just a thimbleful of mechatas, we have a whole reservoir of mechatas. So the Chamur Misakin that you're going to have to make a second hazah in order for it to be yaitz. You're going to have the amount. So how does the knas work? Now I didn't really think this through. I'm not sure exactly how Shtei Hazos is going to help, right? Because he's made it that he has like 1,000 gallons. What's he care to do a second? I guess that's enough to deter someone from doing this. Okay, that's the second shita. Ravashi says Ein Bila. He's the first one who says water is not distributed, liquids are not evenly distributed. So when you mixed in your little bit of water, you don't know when you do hazah whether you got from the mei chatas and the stam mayim. And yazas shtei hazos, and he should be mazas shtei hazos. So Rashi says hagir sezu mishubeshes bisfarim. This is obviously, it didn't really explain anything. Ravashi is going on the lashon of the Bryce of the Mishnah. He says there was a kolshu of mayim that fell in, and it's not going to be distributed. He's going to do shtei hazos. What's it going to help us? Ravashi hazah and tzricha shir karav. He holds you don't need a shir. Omiyu knas lesla. He doesn't need a knas. You need two hazahs because he holds you don't know what you're getting in each hazah. If he just takes from one, if he only does one time, we know there's a mashahu of non-mechatas in this mixture. The first one, maybe that's from the mayim. There has to be kosher if he does it twice, since there's only a kolshu of mayim. So the mayim has to go in one of the two. So the other one is going to be kosher. So you do it twice. That way you're for sure good. That's Rav Ashi Shita. So Rav Ashi again is unique that he's the first mandam who says Ein Bila. Meisvei. First, the Gemara asks a kasha on Reish Lakish Shita. Reish Lakish has said that yesh bila and hazah tzricha shir, and we're talking about achas ba'achas. There was only 2 shiurim of water of hazah's mayim, whatever the amount that you need for hazah. There were 2, one of kosher and one was pasul. So if you do 2, you certainly have between the 2 of them enough for a hazah. Meisvei Rabbi Aimel Divrei Elazar. Rabbi explains, Rabbi Eliezer, hazah kol shehu mitara. He says hazah of kol shehu is enough to be mitar. Hazah in tzricha shir because hazah doesn't need a shir. Hazah mechza kosher or mechza pasul. And when you do the hazah, half of it is kosher and half of it is pasul. So he's clearly not saying like Reish Lakish had said that hazah is tzricha shir. Rava and Rav Ashi had said hazah ain't tzricha shir. Reish Lakish had said hazah is tzricha shir. So we don't know whether Rebbe is explaining to Eliezer like Rava or Rav Ashi, but we know he's not saying like the first mandam, like Reish Lakish. So that's shver on Reish Lakish. Now we're going to go on a list of questions on Rav Ashi. Right, Rav Ashi was the last shita. He had said, "Ein bila," that we don't say water is distributed evenly. This is a brisa that says really the same din as our Mishnah, but continues on further. If you have dam of a carbon that's supposed to go lamayla dam chatas, that got mixed in with your dam oila, it goes lamata. You give a matana l'mayla, v'atachtainim alulay. And then when you do, and then the tachtainim will go, and they'll also get, they'll be counted. If you say ein bila, if you say that the dam is not distributed evenly, amai alalai. Why are you saying by doing lamaila it's going to be kosher? Maybe you got everything wrong, right? You have a mixture of dam el yonim and dam tachtainim. So maybe you put the dam el yonim lamata and the dam tachtainim lamata, the dam tachtainim lamaila, and then you never got anything in the right place. So how could be it's anything? So how would Rav Ashi understand this? Going to Ika Ruba El Yoinim. We're talking about where you have, let's say, 5 portions of dam that are dam chatas, and you have 2 portions of dam that are dam oila. And you did 2.5 portions of dam lamaila. So you certainly have at least half of let's say you do 3 lamaila, so you certainly have a portion lamaila of dam el yoinim. Because there's only, you did 3 and there's only 2 portions from the bottom, so you for sure got lamaila, one portion of lamaila dam. And he holds, Rav Ashi said there's no shear, right? Right? He said there's no shear. So therefore you'll be yaitza all the hazois lamayla. Practical Gemara. He gave him a little bit more than the shear tachtonim. It said that he's also yaitza the tachtonim. How can we yaitza the tachtonim if when he's going to do the shear, he's going to do the lamata? Maybe that's all from the el yainim. Right, because he doesn't have. We know that there's more of the el yainim. So when he's doing the nesina lamayla, and he gave more than the share of the lamata on top. So possibly everything that was supposed to go on bottom went on top. Right, because he said it's the katei tachtonim v'oid. So maybe everything that was supposed to go on bottom went on top. So how could he be yaitz? So zaktamar l'shem shiraim einachanami. He's talking not yaitz on bottom. When it says alulay, it means he's going to bring it lamata, and it will be treated as if he did the shirayim. That means the shirayim are supposed to go on the side, so he does it on the bottom. It drips onto the side, so he's being yaitza his shirayim, but einachanam he's not being yaitza lamayla. Toshma nasan lamata v'loy nimlach. The brisa continues. If the kayin went ahead and he did an asina lamata, and he didn't ask the what to do. He wasn't supposed to do lamata, and he did it anyway. Because he's supposed to really do lamaila first. You always do the chatas first. Rabbi Eliezer says you should go back and do lamaila. You're going to go ahead and do, like we said before, the same thing as if he hadn't done the one before on bottom. But how is it going to help to do yitin lamaila? Why aren't we concerned that there's not a shear? So how can I be really a yoinim? We're talking again whether it's roivel yoinim. Because you have lamaila shear tachtonim void, and he's doing the nesina lamaila even after there was done the first nesina lamata. He's doing, like we said in our case, where there were 2 lamata, he's doing 2.5. He's doing 3 lamaila, so he for sure has dam from lamaila on top. Again, l'shem shiraim. We'll answer again the same teretz that's l'shem shiraim. Toshma nasan l'mayla v'loy nimlach. What happens if he did l'mayla and he didn't ask? Elu moedim sheyachsav yitin lamata. Everyone agrees that if he did l'mayla and he didn't ask, he should go ahead and go do it lamata. And both are alulay. So the question is, how can you say over here that it's going to be oilulay lamata, lamayla, and here you don't have Again, we're going to say that when he's doing lamaila, he has to do kashir lamaila. When he said nasim lamaila, it means he did more than the shir of the mata. Va'elu ve'elu alulay tani. Fact the Gemara, but it says both of them agree that it's alulay. How? I'm sorry. It says both of them are alulay. It says over here we can't say that the bottom is l'shirayim. We're saying both of them are alulay. So miktani elu ve'elu moedim. Are we saying that both Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer, they're both the Rabbanan and Rabbi Eliezer are moeda? Elu ve'elu alulay ktani. But we're saying both of them are oila for him. Seifa eten l'Rabbanan the army yesh bila. We're going to go according to the Rabbanan who say. Even Rav Ashi agrees that the Rabbanan hold yesh bila. The only thing that stops you, according to the Rabbanan, is the issue that the Rabbanan say they don't hold of. You treat it l'shem eitzim. The Rabbanan hold everything is really good. But this Rav Ashi, what he was explaining in Rabbi Eliezer was only according to Rabbi Eliezer l'shitasai that he holds that the extra zrika becomes mayim. The Rabbanan couldn't do anything. The Rabbanan hold as soon as you've mixed in, you can't do anything because you have something that's possible. But in this case, he mistakenly already did lamaila. So when we say elu ve'elu, elu ve'elu alulai, doesn't mean that. It doesn't say that the Rabbanan are maskim. Elu ve'elu ktani. So we're saying the same.
There's a Rabbi Eliezer's maskim.
Right, doesn't mean Rabbi Eliezer's maskim. It's going according to Rabbanan, and they're going to say they hold yesh bila. So you yaitza with the hazah, and therefore that's what it means. Elu ve'elu, elu ve'elu. The Rabbanan also moida. Okay, we're going to have to stop. You're going to have to stop here. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day.